The In Conversation podcast series with author Nicole Vick.
Welcome to the podcast.
Get ready for takeoff.
Welcome back to my In Conversation podcast series. My guest for this episode lives in Los Angeles, is a public health advocate and a recently published author, Nicole Vick. Greetings, Nicole. Welcome to my podcast series. How are you?
I am so great, Nigel. Thank you for inviting me. I have never had an interview with someone with such an awesome accent. I'm so intrigued right now. I'm just listening to you.
Well, actually, that goes both ways. Whereabouts in America do you live?
I live in Los Angeles, California, specifically South Central Los Angeles. And I know people have heard a lot about what South Central Los Angeles is. So I can definitely talk about that. But that's where I'm from.
And what's it like over there?
You know, it's amazing right now. The weather is beautiful and, it's about to be summertime. I would say that is an urban area that is, has a reputation for being very violent, crime and things like that. But to me, this is home. And, there's a very vibrant community here, specifically African-American, Black folk and Latinos. And I feel like are just one of the most vibrant communities that I know. And of course, I've been born and raised here, so I am biased to some extent, right?
So did you actually grow up in that area?
I did. I've been here since 1978.
And what was it like growing up?
It was beautiful. So I had the wonderful blessing to be raised by my parents, obviously, but I also got to spend a lot of time with my great-grandparents and my grandparents. And my great-grandparents were business owners. They came to Los Angeles in the 1930s from the South. They were part of what's called the Great Migration. And I just loved going through all of their books. So I really had this wonderful exposure to kind of Black history to some extent in my home. And it was really exciting. I went to school. I had great friends. There were some interesting times in my life. I remember in 1992, we had the civil unrest. And then, of course, now we're seeing a similar civil unrest now in regards to, the humanity of Black people. So it's been interesting to kind of see how things in some ways don't change very much and that we're still trying to fight. And so that's been an interesting experience to go through that again, having experienced that as a young child.
Well, Nicole, you're an author. What inspired you to write your first book?
I turned 40 not too long ago. And I think for me, 40 felt like a good point in life to stop and look back to think about how did I get where I am? How did I get to be this person that is a public health advocate, that is really in love with community and building community, a professor, a mom? How did, I end up in the space that I am right now? And so that's where the decision to write the book came from. And then I had this interesting experience at work. I work in public health, and public health is about preventing disease, promoting health. I was in a training and I had a really bad experience based on some of the information that was shared in the training about, they were talking about Black health and Black economic health and how the data is not looking really good compared to other races. And it made me feel really bad because it's like, I understand the data, but I'm not happy about why this is happening to people that look like me. And that was also the other thing that inspired me to say, let me write this book to get out my thoughts about social justice work, but then also talk about my life story at the same time. It's a really interesting read, but I'm glad I took the time to stop and get that out.
So what's your book called and what is it about?
The name of my book is Pushing Through, Finding the Light in Every Lesson. And it really is about how I have been able to push through certain, negative experiences, bad experiences in my life to do really well and to kind of make it through. And so push through is this phrase that is often used on this side. I don't know if they say push through over there, but they say push through over here to really talk about you know what? There are things in life sometimes that are hard, can be barriers, but you know what? We have to work hard and get through it so that we can continue to, achieve and do well. So that title resonated with me a year ago when I started writing the book. And I feel like it's so funny that, or ironic that I chose to release the book when I did, because that title also still resonates with what we're seeing today with the civil unrest and people that are fighting for their rights. So, it's really just my life story layered over some really important public health concepts, and really explaining how I have been able to manage over things like teen pregnancy, for example, to achieve.
When was your book published?
It just launched June 1st. And I was so excited. The Kindle version launched June 1st on Amazon. And my publisher said, we want to try to get this book to number 1 in the category that it's in on Amazon. And I was able to get to number 1, which was so cool. I did a lot of work, but I was so excited. And yeah, it's out now. And then the paperback version will be released September 14th.
So how did you find a publisher for your book?
I found a publisher through my book coach. I had a book coach. A book coach is someone that you work with to help you get your thoughts together, figure out what the book, how the book should flow, get your chapters kind of straight. And she helped me also kind of get myself on a schedule to write. So every 2 weeks I would have to give her a draft of a chapter, and we would have to she helped me move along and get it done. And after I had finished, she referred me to a publisher. And so I began to work with the publisher to get the final touches on it and get the title, which was actually hard. I didn't realize how hard it is to come up with a title for a book. I had one idea and they were like, no, it doesn't resonate. You need to work something else out. And so she helped me with that and the design of the cover and everything. So I'm really grateful for the publisher that I have. And that was simply a referral.
What made you decide to become a public health advocate?
I think public health found me. I didn't find it, it found me. I was, as I mentioned before, I was a teen mother in college. So I was 17 years old, walked on the campus of the University of Southern California, and I didn't know it until October that I was pregnant. I was like, I think I have the flu, something's wrong. And they were like, no, you're pregnant. Oh, okay. Okay. And because of that, I had to find work, and try to, get a job as well as continue with my college education. And so initially I was working in food. I was making banana splits and serving ice cream to students in the little student cafeteria. And after a while, I was like, I need to, try to do a little better and get a better type of job. So I ended up at the county public health office as a student worker. I forgot how much I was making, probably not much at all, like $10 an hour. That's, in those times, that wasn't really a lot. And they had me answering the sexually transmitted disease hotline. So I'm getting all these calls and people are needing help. I remember there was a call where a couple was arguing because the woman had gotten a disease and she was upset with her partner. So there was like all this excitement and like really interesting things happening. And I was seeing how the health educators in the office were working. They were going out into the community, teaching young people how to put condoms on, doing things that were really important to preventing disease and promoting health. And I'm like, this public health thing is really cool. Like, these are really great people, first of all, and they're doing really great work. They don't have to be medical professionals. I thought I wanted to be a dentist or a nurse, but then I said, this isn't for me in college. So when I saw these folks that were working in health, but not clinical work, I was like, oh, this is how I can still help people be healthy without having to have that clinical experience. So that's really where the desire to get into public health began. And so I actually had to go back to school to get a master's degree in public health to become a health educator and work in public health. And I've been working in public health for like 15 years.
So, Nicole, what other interests do you have?
I am a fashionista. I love clothes. I love teaching women how to dress well for their body. I am a plus size woman. I don't know if they call it plus size over there where you are, but I'm a bigger woman. And so I try to teach other women like me how to dress well and not spend a lot of money. I also really love nail polish. I have like 500 bottles of nail polish, and I love to do nail designs. I use nail care as a form of self-care. So every Sunday, I spend time, I pick the colors that I like, and I think about a design that I want to do, and it gives me a chance to sit and be still, because you can't move around trying to paint your nails. You got to sit down, and you have to be still, turn some music on. And, I can't, if I mess up, I start over. But it's a really good space for me to kind of be quiet and still, because I'm always moving around. I'm always busy. I'm doing something. So that's my one day or one point in time where I can kind of relax and be creative a little bit. So those are my two big interests. I also teach, which is a job, but it's also something that I love to do as well.
So, Nicole, what are your plans for the future? What is on your bucket list?
Well, I was supposed to be on a plane right now to Cartagena, Colombia. And of course, with coronavirus, that, is not going to happen. I'm not on a plane. I'm here. So definitely more travel in the future. I'm a new traveler, and at the age of 41, just now starting to leave the country and explore. Maybe I'll come visit you, one of these days when they let us fly.
You will be most welcome.
Yeah. So travel is on the list. I think in my head, I probably have 2 more books in there somewhere that I can kind of get out. And so thinking through that, and hopefully beginning to turn the fashion side of my life into a viable business. I would love to be a consultant for women to help them get their style, their sense of fashion, get that together. Some people don't really know. So I would love to help women with that.
So, Nicole, how can people contact you?
The best way is on LinkedIn under my name, Nicole Vick. I also have an Instagram page, and it's at Nicole D. Vick. You can always email me as well. Email address for me is ndvick.5437@gmail.com.
Okay, Nicole in Los Angeles, thank you very much for your time. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Please join me for another In Conversations podcast very soon for more interesting and entertaining discussions. Stay safe.